on the Bronx River is much more likely to be the topic of what's discussed at the dinner table, because it starts with what we found, but then it goes to the questions that the kids have about how it is that the Bronx River got into the state that it's in, and then what do we need to do to change that state. And so the kids are authoring the investigation and holding on to that information and using it in ways that make them active citizens and environmentalists. And so it's very, very powerful.
I take my students out to visit the Bronx River weekly, except for some time during the cold months or in really bad weather. And we do a lot of water quality monitoring. My students use we call a science notebook, or it's now actually become a math notebook as well. But like in the tradition of Charles Darwin or Leonardo da Vinci, they keep a notebook of their work, and they actually do their own investigations in it and record what they've done and record their thinking, recording observations of the river, collect the data from the river, but also do mathematical investigations in there. I would say I would want my students, first of all, to remember me as someone who was kind to them, cared about them, and respected what they thought, respected their ideas, and kind of challenged them on some of those ideas to kind of bring them to maybe a deeper understanding or a different understanding. That's what I'd hope they remember me as.
Our next presenter for this honoree is Margaret Honey. Okay. And Margaret is a graduate of Hampshire College with a doctorate in developmental psychology from Columbia. Margaret Honey has helped to shape the best thinking about learning and technology, with special attention to traditionally underserved audiences. Dr. Honey is widely recognized for her work using digital technologies to support children's learning across the disciplines of science, mathematics, engineering, and technology. Prior to joining the New York Hall of Science, she served as Vice President of the Education Development Center, EDC, and the Director of its Center for Children and Technology. To help shape public policy, Dr. Honey has helped to write many white papers and reports and has testified before several U.S. Senate subcommittees about technology's effectiveness as a teaching and learning tool and the role of the federal government in this enterprise. She also was appointed to the U.S. Department of Education's expert panel on educational technology, charged with the responsibility for creating a framework to be used in assessing the effectiveness of all educational technology programs. Margaret?
So as you just heard, I've spent a huge amount of my career working on issues related to educational technology, and we're all reminded again tonight that what it always comes down to is the quality of the person who is teaching in the classroom, and that the ingredients that matter are passion and knowledge and commitment and dedication. One other thing, when I came in tonight, not only did I have the pleasure of meeting Nick Vitale and his principal, but I met a group of his students. And yes, you are a great group of students. There is no better tribute to a teacher than his students. And your dedication being here tonight is a tribute to the quality of Mr. Vitale's teaching. So on behalf of the members of the Sloan Awards Selection Panel and the Fund for the City of New York and the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation, I'm thrilled to present this check to Nick Vitale.
Gotta try to not lose this, leave this up here. But first of all, I want to say how honored I am to be here with all of these amazing people. And thank you for the fund for the City of New York and the Sloan Foundation for making this possible. And specifically for Mary McCormick for her enthusiasm and encouragement. It's very uncommon for such a prestigious organization to recognize work at a small community school like ours. Most often it's elite programs that get that kind of recognition. When you think of science and math, you don't usually think of a school in the South Bronx like ours. So thank you for showing that all students deserve quality education in mathematics and science. Thank you. So this is the part where it sounds like the Oscars. I would like to thank, Santi, thank you for hiring me, the first principal of Banana Kelly High School. Thank you, Joshua Laub, for encouraging, supporting, and defending the work that we do. Also want to thank my parents and my grandparents for being the first teachers in my life and always encouraging me to think for myself and showing me how to kind of be a good human. My wife Elisa deserves thanks for encouraging me and sort of sharing me with my work. She always doesn't get her fair share because I'm not always available. And I also want to thank my colleagues and students for speaking so highly of me. Let me make one thing clear. Without my colleagues and my students as collaborators, I don't think I would be here. I couldn't have done this myself, and I want to specifically thank Annie LaRue, who was the person who nominated me for this award, and some other colleagues who really, really work closely with me, Carly Ryder, Nathan Dilworth, and Jessica Martin. I'm also aware of many other dedicated and talented teachers who never kind of get this recognition. And I just want to say that they deserve more. That teaching is a tough job, and efforts should be made to give them the time and the resources that they need to do their job well. So why do I teach is one of the things I wanted to explain. So I think it can be done better. As a child, I found school to be very restrictive and boring and really it never really was inspiring. But I was lucky enough that I had a lot of learning experiences outside of school. And I think I want to make school more like that. I want to make school more meaningful to students, more interesting, more inspiring, and liberating, because I think that's part of what school is about, is freeing people from their situations. It gives you power. So my sort of philosophy is, I think we can start by paying attention to and respecting our students' thinking, because they are thinkers and they do think. And only when we know what they're thinking and how they're thinking can we nurture and challenge that thinking and deepen their understanding of the world they live in. And most importantly, develop what I call their voices as citizens, as scientists, as mathematicians, writers, historians, what have you. And by doing this, we can even prepare them for the tests. And most importantly, what comes after the tests, and preparing for them for jobs and situations we don't even know of or may not exist yet. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
The 6th award goes to a chemistry and biology teacher from the High School of American Studies at Lehman.